my name is Will, and I'm thinking of majoring in physics, but not sure yet.
Cool stuff. Yep.
I'm Erin. I'm the webmaster. I'm junior, obviously majoring in comp sci.
I'm Will. I'm the interview prep chair. You all should come to the interview prep workshop after this. Hey!
In like an hour.
Yeah. So everyone watching the stream, interview prep, 7:30
7:30.
Every Monday night.
every Monday night
At the Career
in
Center.
the Career Center.
Join me so I'm not lonely.
Yeah.
Join Will.
Also, another plug, this Wednesday we're having a pretty much all the other aspects that we don't cover in technical interviews. We're going to be talking about this Wednesday, especially because the career fair is coming up this Friday, just generally how to get an internship and why internships are useful. That's going to be, I believe, in Blow on Wednesday. We'll send out Washington. Yeah, we'll be sending an email out about that soon. So, cool.
Cool. For you guys coming in, just like introduce.
Yeah, name, year, and major.
Richie, sophomore in comp sci.
Awesome.
Dan, also sophomore, also comp sci.
Cool stuff, guys. Awesome. Good turnout. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll jump straight into it.
We'll go in.
This is going to be really short. It's more just to like brief people on it because there's a lot of misinformation. I had a couple freshmen come up to me kind of conflating a hackathon with a programming contest, and weirdly enough, they're different things. And so we just wanted to like clear the ground, and obviously we're streaming this right now just so that we can direct this video to anyone who's interested later on. Yeah, we'll close that door real quick. So yeah, I don't expect this to go longer than like 10, 15 minutes. Essentially, hi there. I guess we'll start off right from that misconception by kind of describing what a hackathon is in general. First and foremost, it's a recruiting event, really. The reason why we have the funds to like rent a huge space and invite anywhere between 50 and several hundred people, get a bunch of like prizes and stuff like that, feed people and pay for transportation is because companies, we reach out to companies, software development companies usually, but also sometimes hardware companies, and say, hey, we have a hackathon, which in their language is a recruiting event, a career fair, and we want you to sponsor us and give us a certain amount of money. And in exchange, we'll usually give you something that's valuable to you, like a stack of resumes of all of our participants, direct access to our participants during the event. You'll be able to present the awards, so people will like kind of associate you with being cool and hip or whatever. But it's an advertising event for them, and the reason why it's lucrative from their point of view is presumably people who are going to hackathons are ambitious. They're this computer science or physics or mathematics students or anyone who's interested in technology generally defined. They're generally the people who are like go-getters. The thing is that especially as hackathons are becoming ever more prevalent, you don't have to be a go-getter to go to a hackathon. You just have to show up. And that's kind of the reason why we're having this meeting. Hackathons, especially now that they're becoming more and more common, are geared toward people who have never done very much before. At different hackathons, this will be handled differently, and there are exceptions. There are some hackathons that specifically want people with a lot of experience, and those hackathons will require that you submit an application. Those are bigger, and they're fewer and far between. More commonly, anyone and everyone is welcome. You show up, and you can do, and I mean this quite literally, absolutely nothing for 48 hours, and your rewards will be free food, a floor to sleep on, a bunch of free swag from different companies, and a good time connecting with intelligent software developers or hardware developers from other schools in your immediate area or the immediate area of the hackathon, and being able to talk directly to the companies that are sponsoring that hackathon. The benefits, quite literally, are guaranteed, and there is no real requirement that you do anything. It might be frowned upon if you go in and do absolutely nothing. I probably wouldn't be too happy with you.
Yeah.
It's definitely frowned upon. Don't do that. But the point is like no one is standing over your shoulder saying like you need to have some sort of like deliverable product at the end of 48 hours or else. And no one is like coming over to you and be like, so what you doing? Yeah, you're making some in Python? Yeah, well, I know 14 programming languages. How about that? And so like No one, it's not like that at all. And as a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite. I mean, there are a handful of assholes, but there are handfuls of assholes literally everywhere. Most people who are more experienced than you are going to be there to help you. Oftentimes, they will sign up as mentors, specifically to be placed onto teams made majorly of inexperienced people so that they can lead the direction of that group and then they can learn something. So I guess that distills the reason why you would want to go to a hackathon. It's usually one of two things or both. You want to learn something new, and therefore, start iOS programming or start learning Java if you haven't yet, or some technology, or you want to do a hardware hack for the first time. You want to touch an Arduino and you've never touched an Arduino before, and it showed on the hackathon website that they're going to have Arduinos for you to play with, or an Oculus Rift. You're so excited to like touch that hardware, and like this would be your only opportunity to really do that, which it's not because we have a makerspace and we have Oculus Rifts here at the school, by the way. But that's an illustration. Like one reason you might want to go is to learn something new, right? The other reason is you go there to talk to companies and to network in general, both with other students and the people from those companies who are being there, to like specifically scout you. Like they want to hire you, and like that's kind of a really cool thing to be a part of. Now, mixed in with all of that is the potential for winning awards. Oftentimes you'll go to a hackathon and they'll have, in addition to top first, second, and third place, which might have a monetary prize or like a PS4 or whatever, they'll have a dozen or so prizes that are specifically made by X companies. So like at a couple hackathons that I've been to, IBM will be there and they'll say, use this machine learning API, which is super easy to use, and do something cool with it, whatever you think is cool. And then at the end of the competition, the coolest project that used our API gets a prize specifically from us. And so like those are lower hanging fruit that a lot of people go for when they're maybe not necessarily shooting for first prize or something like that. That being said, you don't have to shoot for anything at all. Most times if you're going to be shooting for a prize or something like that, you might have gone to one or two before, but there's so many people there and it's just that type of environment that you don't have to like try to win anything, and you'll still have a really, really gratifying experience. So what do I mean by like create something? I know that's super ambiguous. If you've taken software development at William & Mary, it's going to be like really easy for you to find because you've already learned Android development. And that's something that a lot of William & Mary students do at a lot of different hackathons. If you haven't taken that class, that's completely fine. You don't need to have had any side project before. In fact, this is the perfect opportunity for you to make your first side project ever. My advice to you would be seek out someone who has more experience than you and just be like, hey, do you want to go to hackathon together? And then that person will help you learn something. That could be someone on our exec board, or it could be a random stranger from ODU or from Virginia Tech that happens to be at the hackathon. And there are plenty of people who go to these hackathons without a team set up beforehand. And sometimes you just have to contact the organizers to do that kind of a thing. If you've taken 141, as in if you've finished the class, you are more than qualified to have a good time and do something cool. If you haven't finished 141 yet, it might be difficult for you to actually create something yourself because you haven't familiarized yourself with programming language, syntax structure just yet, but that doesn't mean that you can't still have a good time. It's a really good way to like dip your toes in the water and see what it's all about. So I suppose lastly, I'll just differentiate this competition from a programming contest. A programming contest, specifically those held by the ACM, which we'll be going to in the fall and are fun in their own right, is completely different. It's not a recruiting event. It's more like an academic bowl or something like that. If you had those in high school, or if you're familiar with the one at William & Mary, you show up, they give you 8 or 9 problems, and they're like word problems, like programming problems, something kind of similar like you'd see in an interview. You have a set amount of time to solve all of them in one of 3 languages. You do it as fast as you can, and you win. And it's gratifying in that like you get to move on to a next round. You might go to a national or an international championship, and you get to like flex your I'm a really great programmer muscles against other schools that have teams, but it's a completely different experience, and that is definitely something that you have to prepare for in order to expect to do kind of well. Hackathons are not that. Hackathons are there for you to learn. The whole idea is that we're coming together and creating something new. So I've talked long enough. Uli has like some more things to kind of illustrate what hackathons are.
So we just kind of like to show you guys kind of what a schedule is going to look like when you go to a hackathon, right? So let's turn hold up, this on. And so we have a bunch of resources provided to us from MLH. MLH is a major league of hacking or hackers. They're really good for sponsoring events, hackathons, to get people interested. And they're at a lot of hackathons. We're actually going to be hosting a hackathon, and we hope to see them there. We're actually going to talk to them soon and make that all official. But so here you can see kind of a schedule, right? So say it's Friday afternoon, you get to your hackathon, and boom, 4:45, you're checking in, you do the administrative stuff, get paperwork in, t-shirts, swag, you talk to some sponsors that are already there. And so usually what you'll see is kind of like a line or a stack of tables with just sponsors from all over, right? And usually you'll see local companies as well as non-local companies, the big guys. And they're literally there just to talk to you, maybe offer you some prizes, tell you what the prizes are, the prize list, some APIs or whatever that you can use. So yeah, getting to 9 p.m., you're going to get dinner. All meals are usually provided. They should be provided at a hackathon. So you don't have to worry about anything but just your project, right? So they'll give you meals, water, food, more food, swag, snacks. So you can really concentrate just on your project and not, you know, oh, I really need to eat, right? Workshops. Workshops are really cool, especially for beginners. You can go, and maybe you've never done iOS programming, or you want to start with some JavaScript. There'll usually be seminars, workshops where you can learn. They'll go get you maybe some resources in that presentation so you can just bootstrap yourself into it. So yeah, we really want to emphasize the learning aspect of hackathons. People go there to learn, and then they have fun. You come out maybe with a product, you come out with some idea that you like, and then you put that on your Git. So yeah, and that's, 1:20 a.m., 2:30 a.m. Sleeping is not a big part of hackathons. So you get a lot of food, you get a lot of swag, you can talk to a lot of cool people, and sometimes you sleep for maybe like 2 or 3 hours. And that's just personal preference, right? Say you're really, you really want to get this thing done with the people who are there. Maybe this team is from like people from, I don't know, you go to a VT Hacks, right, which we'll talk about a little later. But say you go to VT Hacks and you only have 2 people on your team, but the max is 4 people on your team, and you get 2 VT students to pair up with you, right? You're not going to have those guys next to you for next, whenever, right? So maybe you want to get your hack done there, and you decide not to sleep that night, and that's perfectly fine. A lot of people don't sleep that night. Then again, people do sleep, so what's recommended is you bring maybe like a blanket, a sleeping bag, toiletries, so that you can feel somewhat rested, right? And then, so 7:30 a.m., breakfast is served, more meals. You'll have people walking around, organizers, so you can always ask them for stuff. And then you'll also have mentors. Mentors are a really cool aspect because say you're stuck on a problem, right? Your JavaScript library just won't work, right? I don't know. You'll find the mentor in there. Usually the organizers have like a way for you to contact mentors, or it's just text message, Twitter, Google form, and you just tell them where you are, and they'll come and they'll help you figure out your problem. 1:32, So eventually, hacking's going to stop, right? And then the judging kind of comes around, and you'll get each hackathon has their own ways they judge it. But usually what happens is that you'll demo your presentation, you'll demo your product, and basically sell it to the judges. And then there might be like semifinals or finals, or there might just be one round, right? And then there's a closing ceremony.
If I could jump in for a second, that's actually, I think I heard someone in the room was business, and that's the presentation aspect of your application. The idea you come up with, the presentation you give, the reason why it's unique, the reason why someone would want to use it are all very business-oriented things, especially if you're interested in the world of startups, technical startups, and things like that. Those aspects are very easy targets for someone who maybe doesn't necessarily have software development experience, or maybe you just don't have it yet in your computer science major, but they're huge, gigantic components of having a successful project if you are aiming for a prize that so many people overlook. So taking charge of that aspect of the competition is like a really great way to add a lot to the value of your team's product, even if you don't necessarily have a ton of experience actually developing things.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things. So when you're demoing it, you might have just done, I don't know, half the project, right? You don't have a working product.
Yeah.
And what a lot of times happens at hackathons is that you basically fake it till you make it. Which is a terrible saying. Don't ever say it. But yeah, maybe you make like instead of demoing your actual app, you have a bunch of screenshots of what you would like to do. And that's also a big thing with hackathons. You finish your product, you get to a kind of a stopping place, and you're like, okay, how do we see this in the next couple of weeks? Do we want to keep in touch with our teams? Do we want to just stop this dead right here? Like, this was terrible code. I never want to see it again. Basically, you decide. So,
well, the point that was like hidden in there is that almost never does any team ever actually finish a project. Like you always start super ambitious. You start throwing away features like crazy, exponentially more as you get closer and closer to the deadline.
Right.
And then you have as much as you've built, and you present what you've built, and then you might optimistically say, and we could have done this in your presentation, but that's about it. No one actually has a full thing at the end.
right. And just so you guys kind of get an idea of how you plan for a hackathon, you don't really need to plan for a hackathon. Most of the time, you'll just show up. Maybe for the first 3-4 hours, you'll sit down with your teammates, walk around, talk to each other, figure out what you want to do. Maybe you already had some ideas coming in that you want to bounce off your other teammates. And then usually by that first night, if it's a 32-hour hackathon, you'll start hacking and creating, right? But you don't need to come in with the idea of what you want to do. And then basically nearing the judging, you might want to stop and make a presentation, figure out those logistics. But yeah, that's kind of the schedule aspect of a hackathon. Do you guys have any questions?
Let's jump into the presentation.
Yeah.
Just like show them some pictures of what a hackathon looks like.
Yeah. So this is another MLH presentation. They just have a lot of goodies. So yeah, guide for college administrators. Hackathons. Innovators, designers, entrepreneurs, developers, and influencers. Where are they? They're at hackathons. What is a hackathon? We kind of went through that. Invention plus marathon. You invent stuff. If you guys didn't know, you guys use GroupMe. That was created at a hackathon. Well, the bare bones of GroupMe was created at a hackathon. So yeah, usually hackathons are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday evening, you get to the hackathon. Start hacking. Sunday, you present. This is an Oculus Rift, by the way, virtual reality. And you can kind of see down here. That's what you're actually seeing inside of the Oculus Rift. So yeah, this is how the demos kind of look like. People walk around. So it might be other judges. It might be other students that are just kind of getting a sense of what's going on. And it's really cool because maybe you had a great idea. Maybe the other guy had a great idea. So it's a really good collaborative environment, very healthy environment to go to. You get these mentors walking around. Just a ton of people at hackathons. The VT hacks that we want to take you all to is going to be about 400 people. Tribe hacks, we're hoping to do 200 people. But there are hackathons all over that are well over 1,000 participants. So yeah, you have these tables where people are hacking, doing cool stuff. It gets messy, it gets smelly, but it's all good. A lot of snacks, a lot of food. That doesn't happen. I don't know what this is. So
You
here,
relax. No fun.
no fun. This is kind of like what you would see for sponsors. It usually gets really packed. People want to talk to the sponsors. They want to talk to you. They're literally paying thousands of dollars to meet you guys, and that's the cool part. At a career fair, maybe they come in, they have their sponsors there, or they have their company representatives there, and you kind of talk to them. It's kind of cold. You're wearing a suit. Here, people are in T-shirts. They're talking to each other. These guys, these sponsors are really special because they're also staying the night with you. So you're not going to just see them for a couple hours. They're going to be there the whole hackathon.
Yeah, one of the really cool experiences that I had, for instance, was like at a hackathon that I went to. There was this company called Pebble. They make smartwatches, kind of similar to other smartwatches that you've seen. And the guys who were at the booth were software developers at Pebble, and so they had one of those prizes that I was describing earlier. Do something for Pebble, you win a prize. When someone would have a question about the application that they were making, they could have asked a regular mentor, like a regular software development question, but they had the people who literally made the device. So like go up to their booth and just be like, hey, can you help me with my technical problem? And that's kind of what they're there for. They're like there to connect with you, but oftentimes they're there to like literally help you out with the problems that you're trying to solve. And we'd have representatives from Microsoft or Intel or whatever the heck, depending on the technology that you're using, which is a really cool experience to like actually work from the devs and companies like that on the projects that you're making.
Oh yeah. So most of the guys are sending as sponsors are devs. At career fairs, you see a dev. They might have brought a dev. They might not, just because career fairs are usually more general. But usually they send real devs to the hackathons, which is just crazy to talk to. So you got prizes, stickers. If you guys like stickers, you get a lot of stickers out of hackathons. So how popular they are? They're popular extremely. People are going to these things, having good times. A lot of universities are hosting them. 10 countries, yeah. A lot of participants. But yeah, I think this is that wraps it up. Yeah, cool. So, do you guys have any questions? If not, Demystifying Hackathons. One last thing that we'd like to just kind of push out here is that we are going to VT Hacks. We are going to have transportation. You just have to worry about getting on the bus. We'll take you. We'll help you out. Get your teams.
If you don't mind me clarifying,
Yeah.
just because we're talking about ODU, we will be going to a hackathon on the weekend of the 26th. You can plan for those hours to happen no matter what. At the moment, it's a little bit up in the air because of communication problems that we're having with Virginia Tech over whether or not we're going to Virginia Tech or whether or not we're going to Old Dominion University, which is much closer. We'd prefer to go to Virginia Tech because it's a more established hackathon, but right now some logistics are up in the air, so we'll let you guys know soon. But if you set that time aside in your schedule, we will have transportation and we will be going to a hackathon that weekend.
Yeah. So far, we have about 25, 30 people signed up. So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, and eventually, further down the line, we'll bring this up way later, we're going to need volunteers for our hackathon. So that should be fun. You can still participate if you're volunteering too. So
Yeah. Our hackathon is going to be the weekend of April 1st through 3rd.
Yeah.
And VT Hacks is February
26th through 28th.
Exactly. So
Which is
VT
2
Hacks
weeks
or
from now.
ODU. Either one is going to be the same weekend.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Well, thank you guys for coming.
Yeah.
Will, do you have a question?
How do I sign up for the hackathon at Virginia Tech?
That's a great question. Let's check it out.
Thank you, Will.
All right. So you're going to go to VT Hacks, right? I can spell.
2 things you have to do.
So yeah, there's 2 things. You go to VT Hacks, you sign up for it, register now, and put your information in.
Make sure
Do you
when
expect
it
a
says, do you
bus?
expect a bus, click yes.
Definitely, you expect a bus. Now, the second thing that we'd like you to do is also go to our registration, and that's on. Let me
You
see if
can
I can
just
find
send
it.
them the link out right now.
Yeah, we'll send out the link.
we're literally just trying to count internally how many people we want to
Yeah.
go, so we have a sign-up sheet for whether or not you need transportation. We'll send out the link in an email. I think we have already sent that email
Yeah.
out.
This is
But-
what it looks like. If you want to copy that link, or I can make a bit.ly of it, send that out again.
Yeah, and then that'll
yeah.
just let us know that you're expecting transportation for us to provide for you.
So this is really quick. Full name, email, have you registered. That's it.
Why does everything you make look so good?
But yeah, that's it. You guys have any questions? No? Cool. Great. Well, thank you for coming out.
Yeah, I hope to see you guys at a hackathon sometime.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Sign
Also-
up for BT Hacks, right?
Yeah. Also, interview prep in